Default decks here in Paragon aren't necessarily the greatest for our heroes. This has inspired me to come up with my own default universal beginner decks for heroes and for roles that actually are superb. These are very, very effective and kind of are just based off of normal meta decks that I kind of tried to make with universal cards. If you are interested in a easy to use universal deck that you can build right as soon as your account is level 5, once you've unlocked deck building, this is the video for you. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Paragon Guides series. I am Sylphin. This is the Brawler, universal Brawler deck that is used for a ton of people. Now, as a Brawler, you are typically a melee hero that starts off as doing good damage in the early game, since the carries or other ranged heroes and casters don't necessarily do all that much damage. You then have the ability to build damage in the early game and then transition into more of a tank in the late game with some good health and some armor options in the late game. So this is for a lot of people. This Brawler build is for all fighters. So, I mean, Richter, Steel, Crunch, Aurora, Fang Mao, Greystone. Kalari could, but she's an assassin. Kwang could definitely use this. Sevrog definitely could use this. Grux, Chimera, Rampage, Sevrog. Pretty much almost everybody here in this lower part here can use this, including Richter and Steel. Serath, she's melee, but she's meant to do more damage, so this build would not work for her. So Richter, Steel, pretty much everybody down here besides again Scorch and Kalari. She is a assassin, so I wouldn't necessarily go this build for her. So this is for all of the fighters, and you know what? It's absolutely great. It gives you good damage and some damage options in the late game if you want to go more damage for people like Rampage, who has great sustain with his ultimate, or Sevrog, if you can build up his stacks, he can get pretty good sustainability from that as well. And Greystone, he has a ton of sustain with his passive and his ultimate, so you can definitely go for more of a fighter, for more damage on Greystone for sure. Kwang, he can be played multiple ways. He can even be an assassin, so you can definitely go for more damage on him. Really, there's a lot of options. Aurora, she has options too, so it's really open-ended to how you want to play these fighters, or what more importantly, what your team needs from you. Here is the build, ladies and gentlemen. Find the build order in the video description below. It'll have the order of the cards and when you get them and what are in them, so that you can kind of take a look at that, follow along here, or just use that to build the deck in your client. Now you can also pause this video, open up your client, and just make sure that you have all of these cards here as you see them now with the upgrades in them. So just make it easy. I can't necessarily do it by uploading this to agora.gg or Epic Games Deck Builder, as I simply don't have the time to do that for every single hero and make a deck for them like that. So there you guys go. Pause this. Make sure you have all these cards as you see them here, and all of these consumables. Now, let's get into the build itself. We're going to go with the Centurion Prime card. You are a Brawler. Tanking isn't necessarily a thing with the Universal deck. Unfortunately, you need those key active cards in order to make tanking work. So tanking isn't a thing. We have to be a Brawler. And since you're going to get the Prime Orb, your Prime card activated in the late game, you're going to be primarily a Brawler in the late game, so you need that health to be a Brawler. That's why we get the Centurion for that health. And then you get the Health Potion, Mana Potion, Scout Sword if you want. We're not going to necessarily use it here, but it is there for options if you go back after your first card or two. Blink Charm and Fist of Kings, we'll get into that later. So right off the game, guys, if you are a jungler, you're going to pick the Scythe or the Siphon. You're going to pick the Siphon if your hero does not have a sustain skill or ability. Somebody like a Rampage with his passive that gives him a health regen. Somebody like Chimera, health regen. Somebody like Kwang with his lifesteal. You don't need this Siphon. Everybody else, Kalari definitely, if you're going to play her in the jungle, definitely needs this Siphon to get that health back when you hit jungle minions. Or for all the heroes that do gain sustain, you can get this Scythe for increased damage on those minions. No upgrades in this, simply because the effectiveness of this card falls off pretty quick once you start getting some damage, so you just kill those minions really quickly anyways. After the Scythe or Siphon, you're going to go into your ward, but if you are a laner, if you're in the off lane, or if you're being a support to your carry in the safe lane, you get the Circlet of Health. What this does, gives us 2.8 health regen for yourself and nearby allies, which is absolutely so powerful, so important in the early game. This is super meta. Pretty much every laner grabs either this or primarily a healer token, but you don't get the healer token in the base kit when you make your account in Paragon. So we get the Circlet of Health. If you're a laner, amazing sustain. You're going to be able to take damage and simply stay healthy while you farm up in the early game. After that, or your Siphons and Scythes, if you're in the jungle, you go into your Brawler's ward. Great amount of power that these fighters and brawlers need right off the bat, because they really need it. They really need that. Some of them are bursty, some of them aren't. Either way, you really need this damage here on this Brawler's ward. Get this and get the ward. You're going to keep this the entire game, because wards save lives. Wards are everything. Vision, intelligence is everything here in this MOBA. After the Brawler's ward, you got an option. If you want to get the Blink Charm, get the Blink Charm. Somebody like Crunch has okay escape with his forward crunch, but other heroes that don't have good escapes, especially somebody like Chimera, somebody like Richter, absolutely needs this Blink Charm. In today's meta, Chimera definitely needs this Blink Charm. Richter definitely needs this Blink Charm just to stay safe, so you're not just a walking easy kill for your enemy team. Blink Charm is here. You can get it. Everybody can get it, but it's up to you. Definitely Chimera, definitely Richter. I would definitely recommend it. For Richter, it's basically a must. You have to get this Blink Charm, because he's really easy to hit and he has no escape. So the Blink Charm is an option for you if you want. After this, after this Brawler's ward, we go into a Whirling Wand. This Whirling Wand here gives us a whole bunch of attack speed and power. This is really important. This is in the math department. We really need this attack speed, simply because fighters don't scale the best with power. They're not a carry. They don't scale the best with power, so they need those other stats, attack speed and crit chance, which we're not building in this deck, to increase their damage that they deal, their DPS. So this Whirling Wand is next. Great source of damage. Get the 2-point strike upgrade first. Get the 2-point strike upgrade first, and then you can go into the 2-point kinetic and then 3-point major strike, just because you need that strike in order for the math to make sense as you're gaining that CP. Get the strike first, and then the 2-point kinetic or the major kinetic. After this Whirling Wand, you have another option. After this Whirling Wand, you can either get the Windcarver Blade or go straight into the Adamant Edge. If you want to be more damage focused, if you have already a lot of other frontline heroes and you're somebody that can definitely use it, like Kwang, for example, he's an assassin. He can definitely use the power, but if you're wanting to be a bruiser in the late game, go for this Windcarver Blade instead of the Adamant Edge, as the Adamant Edge has a good amount of health on it, whereas the Windcarver Blade has straight up DPS. So this Windcarver Blade will be fantastic for that. If not, go into this Adamant Edge. After this, we are going to be reaching the end of the mid-game area here, and we definitely need some some tankiness now. We can go into this Eldermage Amulet for some health. This is going to give us quite a bit of health here and some power. At this point, you're going to start to need it. You're a brawler. You're going to need to do that to do the damage, but also survive. So this is the Eldermage Amulet for a good amount of health. Absolutely a must, especially if you went for that Windcarver Blade. Actually, if you went for that Windcarver Blade, you should have gone into the Adamant Edge anyways, and then or this Eldermage, and then this Eldermage Amulet. Eldermage Amulet, you get this no matter who you are. This Windcarver Blade is optional. And the Adamant Edge you always get as well. After this Eldermage Amulet, you have an option of going for Fist of Kings. This Fist of Kings gives you a whole bunch of basic penetration and some health. So this basic penetration is definitely needed for these fighters because they don't scale the best with power. They need other stats to increase their damage and their DPS. Pen is one of those stats, and in the math department, that's definitely needed. This pen will be fantastic. It's a bit hard to get because it's 10 CP that you need to get all at once. So you can, you can at this point get rid of your Scythe, get rid of your Siphon, get rid of your health if you still have it, in order to help get that for sure. After this, then we have two options here. Your Tempered Plate and Tuned Barrier are your two options here. Go for the Tuned Barrier first because the ability armor is really, really important, as abilities hurt a ton. This Tuned Barrier and Tempered Plate are the two last cards that you get. Now, it might not make sense here what cards you get, so let me explain it this way. The Windcarver Blade and the Fist of Kings are optional. This Windcarver Blade and the Fist of Kings are optional. If you choose to get the Fist of Kings and the Windcarver Blade, you are not going for the Tempered Plate and the Tuned Barrier. At that point, you are going more damage, and you are instead going to get more health through the Eldermage Amulet and the Adamant Edge, and instead get get more damage instead of that guard. If you are not going to get this Windcarver Blade or the Fist of Kings, you're going for more tank, which means you will end up with the Adamant Edge, Brawler's Ward, Eldermage Amulet, Tempered Plate, Tuned Barrier, and this Whirling Wand. You keep this Whirling Wand instead of the Windcarver Blade because you need that more of that that attack speed for the damage that you get on these three cards here. So hopefully that makes sense. If you are going for more damage, you go for the Fist of Kings and the Windcarver Blade instead of the Tempered Plate and Tuned Barrier. But if you're not going for the Windcarver Blade and Fist of Kings, you do get Tempered Plate and Tuned Barrier. You can if you want. You can, if you want, get only this Windcarver Blade and instead get this Tuned Barrier instead of this Tempered Plate. Basic armor, you take a slight majority of the damage you take is ability damage, so you can get this Tuned Barrier and not this Tempered Plate. So instead, that build would look like Windcarver Blade, Whirling Wand, Tuned Barrier, Eldermage Amulet, Brawler's Ward, and Adamant Edge. That's what you would get there, and that is another option. So basically, guys, there's three options with this build. Well, you can choose to do anything you want with these cards, to be honest with you, but my recommendation here for the three options is a lot of damage: Adamant Edge, Brawler's Ward, Eldermage Amulet, Whirling Wand, Windcarver Blade, and Fist of Kings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or as tanky as possible: Adamant Edge, Brawler's Ward, Eldermage Amulet, Tempered Plate, Tuned Barrier, Whirling Wand, or in between, kinda tank, kinda damage: Adamant Edge, Brawler's Ward, Eldermage Amulet, Tuned Barrier, Whirling Wand, Windcarver Blade. That is the various options that you have for the various heroes that are out there. Somebody like a Rampage can definitely afford to go a lot of damage simply because is his ultimate gives him so much freaking health back. But somebody here like Grux, who has no sustain, he can definitely go for a heavy brawler, temper plate toon bearer, so he can just get in there, bleed people, and just go to town with his ultimate, stuff like that. He can definitely use that. Somebody like a Chimera, you can build him, well, you can use an assassin deck on him, but if you're choosing to go brawler, well, you can maybe go a little bit tank, just so you can, I don't know, you can get your stacks up, something like that. Various options for various heroes. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I explained that well. The link in the video description will have a nicely laid out, hopefully, build order for this deck. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. I would be happy to answer them for you, as my whole purpose here for doing this is to help you guys build better decks as beginners. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, and of course, guys, subscribe. If you guys like this content, find it useful especially, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future and help you out. Till next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.